Cuphead has a strongly defined sense of itself. The style is very consistent, the gameplay is very consistent, and everything about it is just consistency. It starts out very strong, presents everything it's got right in the beginning, and varies it enough along the way that you don't tend to get bored of it. So let's tackle the first half of this. Well, first, the art style of Cuphead is gorgeous. Traditional hand-drawn animations all look great. Nearly every character design is simple enough to be reminiscent of the 1930s, but complex enough to have its own identity. Each world, each backdrop, each frame of animation is an absolute joy to look at. It's great at being identifiable. It's very hard to confuse Cuphead with other games, which of course sounds like an obvious statement, but in a world where indie games often rely on the same 16-bit graphic tricks or pseudo-cartoon visuals, it's very refreshing to see something that knows what it wants to look like and maintains that idea throughout the entire experience. It's hard to just flagrantly praise Cuphead for its visuals because those just come from looking at it. You can get all the information out of the way by just saying, look at the gameplay, look at the graphics, look at this character, look at that level, look at this, look at all this stuff. There's not really any comments on it I can say that haven't already been pointed out, and there's probably nothing that I can make you realize that you don't already realize by having functioning eyes. So then let's talk about the gameplay. The gameplay is the correct kind of difficult. There are many different ways to make games difficult. You can take away from continues on failure, you can have harsh penalties upon failure, etc., etc. But Cuphead goes for the route of mistakes are your fault, typically. So the bulk of the Cuphead gameplay experience is pattern memorization. Each boss has different phases, and each of those phases has predictable attacks. There's different variances with random number generation, such as the arc, the timing on when things come out, things of that nature, but they're all things that you can learn. You're never going to be hit by something that's completely unwarranted or comes out of nowhere. To me, that's some of the best gameplay that you can have. Cuphead is a game where you can lose time after time after time after time, yet the frustration doesn't stem from you hating on the game, it stems from a place of, why the fuck can't I beat this? I should be able to do this. There were a couple times, though, that Cuphead did glitch out, and I was hit by either invisible projectiles that made the game feel unfair. And that touches on the only real complaint that I can leverage against Cuphead, which is that occasionally there's a feeling of randomness that decides your success or your failure. Now, I don't mean to say that the entire game is based on luck, where you just ram your head into the wall and eventually you win, but occasionally you'll think that instead of beating a boss based on the merit of your skill level, you did it because the pattern they generated for the fight wasn't as difficult as their typical patterns. Or other times, you may lose a level and think, I don't know how you could even beat that. That seemed impossible. But that's more of a feeling and general wariness towards the game than it is an actual critique, because in the back of my mind, whenever I had those feelings of, oh, that was complete horse shit, I knew that it was more so I had probably not played the game correctly in a way that would have prevented that from happening. There are very few games that I try to go for 100% on. Usually when I get the ending of a game, I'm done with it. I might come back and replay it on harder difficulty, or if I want to play it again, but in terms of fully doing everything perfectly, I've never been a completionist. It just never interests me and I get bored. But Cuphead is one of the few games where I actually want to get perfect S ranks on every boss, because the experience is just so well crafted and fine-tuned. You indulge yourself in this boss rush, and every boss is so different, and yet so satisfying to complete and play against that you just want to keep doing it, and you want to get those perfect marks. You want to be able to do stuff without getting hit and doing it as quickly as possible, and just finding the most optimal strategies against stuff. Cuphead is kind of in the same vein as Bullet Hell's that way, where there's a huge amount of satisfaction to beating the game, but there's an even bigger amount of satisfaction to doing it without messing up. Scoring Cuphead, I would give it a 5 out of 5. My only complaints are really nitpicky and occur maybe once out of every 100 attempts at a boss, and even then they may be due to glitches in the engine, or they may just be to me not paying attention. I don't actually blame the game for the vast majority of my mistakes and my faults within it. The art style is, it's just awe-inspiring. It is a great visual look. It maintains this presence throughout from beginning to end the entire game. Local co-op is a plus. I didn't actually get to take advantage of that, but I am actually very proud to see games that utilize local co-op, something that's been dying in recent trends. And the big thing is it's 20 bucks. It is a $20 indie game. You can buy this and get many, many hours of enjoyment, many, many bangs for your buck. I cannot recommend a game like this higher. It appeals to me on nearly every facet. Okay, I think that's it. Let me know in the comments if you got something you want my opinion on. Thanks.